Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om Namo
Om
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayana
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devi
Devim Saraswatim
Vyasa
Vyasam
Ato Jayam Udirayet
Tato Jaya
Tathodayam Udidayat
Shinvatam Swakatah Krishna
Sravata
Srinvitam Swakatam Krishna
Punyashravana Kirtana
Punyashravana
Punyasravana
Kirtana
Kirtana
Vidyantasto hi abhadrani
Vidyantasya
Vidyantastoti
Bhavani
Abhadyani
vidhunote suhritsatam
Vidyanoti Sahasratam
nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu
Nasta
Nastapayeshu
Pradesu
Abhadreshu
Abdesu
nityam bhagavata sevaya
Nityam
Nityam
Bhagavata
Bhagavata
Sevaya
Sevaya
bhagavati uttama shloke
Bhagavati
Bhagavate Uttama
Uttamashloke
Sloke
bhaktir bhavati nayishtiki
Bhakti
Bhaktir
Bhavati
Bhavati
Naistiki
Naistati
krishnaya vasudevaya
Krishnaya
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 Vasudevaya
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 devaki nandanaya cha
Devaki
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 Nandanaya Cha
Nandanaya
gopakumaraya
Nanda
Gopakumaraya
Gopakumaraya
govindaya namo namaha.
Govindaya
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 Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for joining. We'll continue the discussion of process of creation. In this chapter, Maharaj Parikshit inquires further about creation, and Sukadeva Goswami begins with prayers to the Lord before he begins the answering. And last week, we are about to begin the prayers in the last section. So first he, as well we saw some prayers of Sukadeva Goswami, where he described Lord as the enjoyer of everything, material as well as spiritual world. How by glorifying him, sinful effects will be nullified, and surrendering to the Lord relieves of all attachments. So that is what we discussed. So we'll continue now. So there are very, very nice prayers now in this section. So in this way, what we can understand is, before beginning any endeavor, we should always take shelter of the Lord, take, to the prayers of the Lord. We can reuse some of these words, or in your own words, you can express before, because everything we do should be for the satisfaction of the Lord. Samsiddhir haritoshanam means, for this any activity we perform should ultimately to be for the
Pleasure of Lord.
pleasure of the Lord. Yeah. Why? Because anything that we are empowered to, were the ability in man or woman is given by the Lord. So whatever things we have in our position, right, is given by the Lord so that we can use in his service. Because ultimately everything belongs to the Lord. If we are given something, ability to work, or ability to speech, or ability to lead, whatever, so that ability is given to you so that ultimately it is meant for the pleasure of the Lord. So recognizing that and acknowledging that is a prayer. Prayer is an expression of acknowledging Lord as the personality who actually enables us to, or empowers us to, do our work. So in that spirit, so why these examples are given, so we can learn from these personalities on how we should also in our own life take shelter of the Lord at every step. So that is the spirit of Bhagavatam. So we'll begin today's verses. Verse 17. Okay. So, do you see Word document?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji, we'll see.
Yeah, so this 18th, we can start 17th. Tapasvino dana parayashashvino
Tapasvino para yashasvino
manasvino mantra vidasumangala
manasvino
mantravida
mantravida sumangala
mangala
kemam na vindanti vina yadarpanam
kemam na vindante vina yad
arpanam
arpanam
tasmai shubhadra shavase namo namaha.
tasmai subhadra shravase namo
namo
namaha.
namaha.
Translation, please read.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna again and again, because the great learned sages, the great performers of charity, the great workers of distinction, the great philosophers and mystics, the great chanters of the Vedic hymns, and the great followers of Vedic principles cannot achieve any fruitful result without dedication of such great qualities to the service of the Lord.
So it is mentioning that anybody performing activities of charity or expert in philosophy, deciphering philosophy, or practice of mystic yoga, or even karmakandis like great chanters of Vedic hymns, they cannot attain the fruit unless they actually worship the Supreme Lord. Vinayadarpanam means unless they have anything else. If you want to succeed in that, right, to achieve the final result, you have to actually please the Supreme Lord. So unless one pleases the Supreme Lord, they will not achieve the result. So this is in comparison to bhakti, right? If you to achieve success in the path of bhakti, because you are that is directly involving the pleasure of the Lord, you don't need to do anything else. But if you do anything else to achieve real success, you need to actually please the Lord. So without devotion being added to any other path of achievement, that will not be really successful. Because ultimately, one has to please the Supreme Lord to achieve the success. Yeah, please read.
Advancement of learning, a charitable disposition, political, social, or religious leadership of human society, philosophical speculations, the practice of the yoga system, expertise in the Vedic rituals, and all similar high qualities in man serve one in the attainment of perfection only when they are employed in the service of the Lord. Without such dovetailing, all such qualities become sources of trouble for people in general. Everything can be utilized either for one's own sense gratification or in the service of one other than oneself.
Which is basically the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Right? Yeah. So anything you endeavor, if the pleasure of the Lord is not the goal, it will eventually become the source of pain. That's such a good realization, right? So that is why, because when you involve Supreme Lord, who is transcendental, who is eternal, right? So there is stability to the activity. Otherwise, your false ego or your mind somehow develops disinterest or distaste to the activity. So if you want longevity in your work, whatever work you are doing, if you somehow connect that activity to the pleasure of the Lord, right, then it becomes that becomes a long-term activity, or because you are trying to please the Lord. So all the challenges, difficulties that you go through in your activity will not be, because you are doing it as as an instrument in the hand of Lord. Otherwise, it will become a source of pain. Right? Such a good realization. So we can also see how we can apply this in our own life, right? So any activity, if our goal is a profit, right, temporary material profit, it is going to be a short-term thing. It will not give you long-term satisfaction. On the other hand, if you do it, no matter what, it is actually I'm doing it as a service to the Lord, that will give true satisfaction in the long term. Yeah. Continue, Prabhu.
Vedic literature, or even the execution of pious activities like charity, opening of hospitals, and distribution of food grains, should be done in relation with the Lord. The aim of all such acts and endeavors must be the pleasure of the Lord and not the satisfaction of any other identity, individual or collective. Samsiddhar Haritam. In Bhagavad Gita, 9th canto and 27th verse, the same principle is confirmed where it is said that whatever we may give in charity and whatever we may observe in austerity must be given over to the Lord or be done on his account only. The expert leaders of a godless human civilization cannot bring about a fruitful result in all their different attempts at educational advancements or economic development unless they are God conscious. And to become God conscious, one has to hear about all the auspicious Lord, and he is described in literature like the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam.
So, if you want to become God conscious in your activities, which are directly not God conscious, like your work or your other duties towards your family and society, if you want to become God conscious there, you have to actually practice hearing. That is when you will carry that consciousness to the other areas of your life. So that is a very good practical tip for us, right? So we study Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam on a regular basis, preferably daily, right? At least, so we all can practice this by simply hearing a snippet of Prabhupada's lecture, right? So Prabhupada, you can see in the YouTube, there are small snippets of 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or 20 minutes max. You can hear and start your day with that powerful sound vibration. You can see that effect will stay through the day. Again, every day. You can start, even when you are in washroom or doing other chores, you can just keep hearing Prabhupada lecture, right? And then also you can hear, from your spiritual master, or read for a few minutes Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, especially Bhagavatam. If you read even for a few minutes, you will see as your day is surcharged with Krishna consciousness. You see things very differently. You see the whole thing is everything is auspicious, right? Your life will become auspicious. Everything you see around with that spiritual eye. Yeah. So that is how we can make our activities Krishna conscious, right? So this is in Bhagavad Gita, Yat karoshi yadashnashi yajjuhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tatkurishva madarpanam. This is the instruction of Lord Krishna, right? Yat karoshi yadashnasi, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, yajjuhosi, whatever you give away in charity, dadasi, right? Yat tapasyasi, whatever you perform as an austerity or worship, Kaunteya, son of Kunti, Tat Kurushva Madarpanam, do it as a sacrifice to me, as an offering to me. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. This is like a practical instruction that we can try to follow as much as we can in our life. It will transform. This is the fastest way to make our life 100% Krishna conscious. And how will it happen? It begins with hearing. Right? We have to hear Bhagavatam. We have to hear. So these are words of Prabhupada. Whatever we are reading now, words of Prabhupada. So we have to hear directly Prabhupada in the morning every day. So that way we surcharge our consciousness with Krishna consciousness. And that will stay through our day. And then repeat the same thing every day. We don't need to, do anything special. It's just automatically we become Krishna conscious just by hearing, right? Shravanam. Because that's why that Shravanam, Kirtanam, that begins with Shravanam. And Shravanam of who? Our worshipable Guru Parampara, hearing from them, spiritual master, and at least few minutes every day we should hear Prabhupada. And we should also hear from our spiritual master, and then you can hear others. Right? If you have some favorite teachers, you can hear them, right? Other brahmacharis or senior Vaishnavas. But that minimum is important, right? Every day. Yeah. So this is about. So this verse talks about all these other, great charity givers, or those who are engaged in yajnas, right? So they achieve success only by combining devotion to the Lord to their activities, right? So otherwise, their activity is just simply waste of time. Shrama eva hi kevalam. Now, to show the efficacy or the power of bhakti, so this verse shows, in the words of Sukadeva Goswami, how even the lowest people can be elevated by bhakti, right? Without any additional effort. Kirata hunandra pulinda pulkasha.
Kirata hunandra pulinda
Pulashka.
Abhirashumbha yavanakashadaya.
Yavana.
Yenye cha papa yadapashraya shraya. Sudhyanti tasmai prabha Vishnave namaha.
Shuddhanti tasmai prabhave namaha.
Yeah. Please read translation.
Kirata.
Good.
Sorry, go ahead, Prabhu. Kirata Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, members of Khasa, races, and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
So these are all the, people or races who are outside the Vedic fold, are not following the Vedic fold properly. It includes, so, some of these are places within India, some of them are outside India. Like, for example, Yavana race. Yavana race means who are meat eaters, who are mostly outside, who do not follow any Vedic rituals or process of purification. Interestingly, it also includes Andhra, a province in South India mentioned in Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata. Right? So it is still extant under the same name. So all the other names have changed. So Huna is East Germany and parts of Russia, province of Hunas. Right? Kind of hill tribe is known as the Hunas. Kirata is something in Bihar and Nagpur areas. Kirata. Yeah. Andhra, as you know, Andhra Pradesh. Right? So Pulinda. So this is province of the name Pulinda. country was conquered by Bhimasena and Sahadeva. The Greeks are known as Pulindas. This is Greek land, right? So like that. Abhira. So these are all various places where Sanatan Dharma is not followed. Even them, they can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Right? So then we can see this as a practical example. Who can we call as some of the examples of this in the recent times? How devotees of the Lord have purified places outside India, right? For example, can you remember? Can you say?
Srila Prabhupada has already done, right?
Prabhupada came to US, yeah.
Prabhupada has done, and we can see how all the hippies in the West, right, who were not following any regulative principles, were all purified to become first-class Vaishnavas with tilak, and even they became Brahmanas, performing worship in the temple. If you go to India, and you are not aware of Krishna consciousness, you will be surprised. You will never be given the eligibility to worship the Lord at the temple. But Prabhupada has qualified us by giving us the process of purification. And it's not like he's just giving without any qualification. He makes us follow the regulative principles and ultimately gives us the qualification to even worship the Supreme Lord, right? So even the Brahmana and perform chant Gayatri like that, right? So this is all because it's the mercy of the devotee. More than that, it is basically the power of bhakti. And there is this powerful process that can purify many even devotees in ISKCON or breaking regulative principles. They have the habit of eating meat because of their brought up or family or whatever, or even some of them are habituated to other like drinking or whatever, right? But they were able to give up because of the potency of bhakti, and bhakti can work through us and make us give up all these sinful activities. And it is so why Krishna consciousness is working, because this is already told in Bhagavatam. Kirada Honanda Pulanda Pulkisha Abhira Shumba Yavana Kashadaya. So even the people born out of Vedic fold, whether it is Germany or any tribal areas, they can all be purified by taking shelter of the Lord. So that is the supreme power, taking shelter of the devotees of the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So Prabhupada's movement is a proof of this verse that it happens like that. Yeah, please read.
The above mentioned historical names are different nations of the world. Even those who are constantly engaged in sinful acts are all corrigible to the standard of perfect human beings if they take shelter of the shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Jesus Christ and Muhammad, two powerful devotees of the Lord, have done tremendous service on behalf of the Lord on the surface of the globe.
Yeah.
The
read Matas here.
The politicians of the world may remain in their respective positions because the pure devotees of the Lord are not interested in political leadership or diplomatic implications. The devotees are interested only in seeing that the people in general are not misguided by political propaganda, and that the valuable life of a human being is not spoiled in following a type of civilization which is ultimately doomed. If the politicians, therefore, would be guided by the good counsel of the devotees, then certainly there would be a great change in the world situation by the purifying propaganda of the devotees, as shown by Lord Chaitanya.
If politicians, therefore, would be guided by the good counsel of devotees, then certainly there would be a great change in the world situation by the purifying propaganda of the devotees, as shown by Lord Chaitanya. So in the past, we see Shivaji Maharaj of Maharashtra was guided by, anyone knows who was the guide? Tukaram Maharaj. So in that way, all the great kings were guided by spiritual leaders who are perfect in their character, and they were all devotees, especially, right? So then there were so many hundreds of kings, but we only talk about Shivaji Maharaj, and because they have followed. So any person who follows Sanatan Dharma or close to Vedic fold will become famous for their tenure, for their they will be in history books. You can see my expectation is Sri Modi ji will remain in history for a very long time because he is at a transformative age, and he has some of these qualities. He gets guidance from good counsel of devotees. So he has some of these qualities, and that will really help the country that such leaders are ruling, will really help to really rise in a appropriate way. Anybody, if they're generally anything in this world that really sustainably grows is something somewhat, if they are directly or indirectly following are in harmony with Vedic principles or Vedic teachings. People may not know that they are exactly following Vedic principles, but there are some of those characteristics you can observe that are very well aligned to Vedic principles, right? So if your work is in some way aligned that way, it's going to sustain for long. You can apply in that way in your own life.
Anyone from any part of the world who becomes well conversant in the science of Krishna becomes a pure devotee and a spiritual master for the general mass of people, and may reclaim them by purification of heart. Though a person be even the most sinful man, he can at once be purified by systematic contact with the pure Vaishnava.
So whoever he may be, doesn't matter what is your background, what you were till today. The hope is that from today you can grow once you are connected with a pure devotee. So the best thing that can happen for us in our life is a pure Vaishnava remembers us. Right? If you are in the smaran of a pure devotee, advanced devotee, a sincere devotee, whose mission is to, pure devotee means what? His only desire is to help other devotees come closer to Krishna. That's how you can say. One thing is, his practice of spiritual life is there, but that is secondary. A pure devotee acts as a true servant of the Lord, and he knows the mission of the Lord. What is the mission of the Lord? To connect the conditioned souls back to their
God.
Yeah. So that's why in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says in the 18th chapter 69, those who actually spread this word, they are my closest. I love them, Achyanta Priya. So they are so in whatever way we can, we should always, even if we are in the temple, we have some time and you see a new person, do not worry about them feeling a little bit uncomfortable if we talk. we should find ways to connect with new people and introduce them to Krishna consciousness in a way, in one way or the other, right? Based on their own interest. You can, you can align their interest with an activity of Krishna conscious and make them interested, right? Or show them a benefit. Like, for example, you can connect a lot of families with, Vedic school, for example, like every child, every parent wants their child to be nurtured in good value system. So you can see that you can offer that benefit, to the visitors. So always see opportunity to connect, new people to Krishna consciousness. That is our service. Treat that as your service to Krishna. That is very pleasing to the Lord. And you can see yourself, as you do that selflessly, because it's not, frankly, materially speaking, you get nothing out of it, but you still do it because it is, you feel that is your service to the Lord, because that's what Krishna wants. When you do that, that is the spirit of real, devotee, right? One thing is to, perform your own duties of chanting and reading and hearing, but that is all for your profit only, right? So ultimately, that is you're purifying, you're getting closer to Krishna. But what is it that you are doing as a service to the Lord, right? The highest of it is to connect a conditioned soul who is struggling in this material world, life after life, and in human form. Somehow connect them in a way, just inspire them in a way, right? It may not happen in that one trip. They may have to come a few trips. Inspire them to come for another day for prasadam, or hear a class, or attend a kirtan, or join a class. Anything helps, right? So that, as a you know devotee of the Lord, if you want to please the Lord, that is one easiest way to please the Lord. And we all want to connect with people, right? Uh, so we can use uh, it in the service of the Lord by talking to people, right? So, we heard of the potency of bhakti now. Yeah. So now, another interesting pastime he will remember. Yeah. Let's read this one. Sayesha atmatmavatam adiswaras
स एष आत्मा त्वमवतामधीश्वर
त्रयीमयो धर्ममयस्तपोमया
स्त्रयीमयो धर्ममयस्तपोमयः
गताव्यलिखैर् अजशङ्कराब्धिभिर्
गतव्यलीकैरजशङ्करादिभिः
वितर्क्यलिङ्गो भगवान् प्रसादतः।
वितर्क्यलिङ्गो भगवान्
प्रसीदताम्.
प्रसीदताम्.
Please read.
He is the super soul and the supreme lord of all self realized souls. He is the personification of the Vedas, religious scriptures, and austerities. He is worshipped by Lord Brahma and Shiva and all those who are transcendental to all pretensions. Being so revered with awe and veneration, may that supreme absolute to be pleased with me. Be pleased with me.
So Supreme Lord is even worshipped by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. So he is being so revered with awe and veneration. May that Supreme Lord be pleased with me. Yeah. So this is a very powerful purport. So I have to add almost the full paragraph. Yeah. Please read.
Everyone is searching for eternal peace or eternal life. And with an aim to this destination, everyone is either studying the Vedic scriptures or other religious scriptures or undergoing severe austerity as empiric philosophers, as a mystic yogis, or as unalloyed devotees, etc. But the Supreme Lord is perfectly realized only by the devotees because they are above all pretensions. Those who are on the path of the self-realization are generally classified as karmis, jnanis, yogis, or devotees of the Lord. The karmis who are much attracted by the fruitive activities of the Vedic rituals are called bhukti kami, or those who are desire material enjoyment. The nannies who try to become one with the supreme by mental speculation are called muktakami, or those who desire liberation from the material existence. The mystic yogis who practice different types of austerities for attainment of eight kinds of material perfections and who ultimately meet the Supreme Soul Paramatma in trance are called Siddhakami, or those who desire the perfection of becoming finer than the finest, becoming the heavier than the heaviest, getting everything desired, having control over everyone, creating everything liked, etc. All these are abilities of a powerful yogi. But the devotees of the Lord do not want anything like that of self satisfaction. They want only to serve the Lord because the Lord is a great, and as living entities, they are eternally subordinate parts and parcel of the Lord. This perfect realization of the self by devotee helps him to become desireless, to desire nothing for his personal sake, but thus the devotees are called nishkami, without any desire. A living entity, by his constitutional position, cannot be void of all desires. The Muktakami and Siddhakami, right? Oh, Bhuktakami, and Siddhakami. All desires something for the personal satisfaction, but Nishkami, devotee of the Lord, desire everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. They are completely dependent on the order of the Lord and are always ready to discharge their duty for the satisfaction of the Lord. In the beginning, Arjun placed himself as one of those who desire self satisfaction, for he desired not to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, but to make him desireless. The Lord preached the Bhagavad Gita, in which the ways of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Hatha Yoga, and the Bhakti Yoga were explained. Because Arjuna was without any pretension, he changed his decision and satisfied the Lord by agreeing to fight. Karvashe Vachanam Tava,
Vishya was.
and thus,
Mm.
thus he became desireless.
Mm.
Karishe Vachanam.
Yeah, Karishye Vachanam Tava. So those are the so after initially Arjuna did not want to fight. The primary reason was he thinks that it's not you know it's not going to be a happy end. He thinks of his own happiness. He gives various reasons. So it's like sweet rice mixed with some sand, right? You will win the Kurukshetra war, but what did you win? You just won by killing your own relatives. So it's like sweet rice, but mixed with sand. So that's how he thinks in the beginning, right? He didn't think it is a dharma, war of dharma. After hearing from Lord about the various yogas, karma yoga, jnana yoga, hatha yoga, and finally bhakti yoga, he chose to follow bhakti yoga. And when even after speaking all of this, Lord says, Yadechasi tatha kuru. Whatever you want to do, you do. But what did Arjuna do? Karishye vachanam tava. Whatever you said, I will do. Which is to fight, right? So that is true desirelessness. Why it is true desirelessness? We all have desires, right? There is no way you can stop desires because soul is an active principle, right? Soul will accompany desires, right? But the question is whether are you acting for your own self-interest or are you acting for Krishna's interest or God's interest? We cannot be desireless because That's how the soul is. If somebody is teaching a philosophy to make one desireless, that is impractical. It's just matter of time. It'll wipe off and vanish, and you will be filled with desires. The real question is, are my desires fully for the satisfaction of the Lord? Are they fully aligned with Krishna consciousness? That is in our hand. If we can do that, that is perfection of life. So just like how Arjuna, even though he has his own take on Kurukshetra war, he became weak and he could not make up his mind. When after hearing Bhagavad Gita on the understanding of the soul, followed by various yoga methods, he was very clear, what is my duty? My duty is to please the Lord, and whatever Lord says, that is the best thing for me. So what did Lord say? To win this war, to fight this war, and to re-establish dharma. Right? So he followed that. So that is true desirelessness, right? Not acting according to your own desire. Yeah. So here, the main takeaway is, even karmis, jnanis, yogis, various other practitioners, they'll not be truly happy, because they have something, their interest is somewhat personal. Well, even though it is on the spiritual path, karmis want to perform activities and then still be unattached to the fruits, right? Karmis, especially the preliminary karma yoga part. And then jnanis, who are seeking knowledge, right? Their goal is not to please the Lord. Their goal is to seek the knowledge that will help them to detach. So in a way, it is still not a pure desire. Yogis were focused on controlling the mind, right? They have a desire, controlling the mind by various yogic postures and meditation process, yama, niyama, asana, pratyahar, pranayama, all of those angas, right? Ashtanga yoga. So through all of that, they want to control the mind rather than surrender their mind to the Supreme Lord, right? For a devotee, he just surrenders everything. Krishna, please engage me in your service. That is how he approaches. So that's the basic difference in various approaches. And to become truly desireless is one has to take to devotion service. That is the only way.
Yeah, so it's a like doing everything, keeping center in Krishna, basically, right, Prabhu?
Doing everything for
Krishna, keeping Krishna in center.
keeping Krishna.
Not enjoy without Krishna.
Yeah,
Enjoying only for Krishna.
Krishna. Yeah.
Right,
So
Krishna.
that should be the spirit of a devotee. Yeah. Shriyah patir yajnapati prajapatir
Yajnapati, Yajnapati, Prajapati,
Shriyam patir lokapatir dharapati
Tiyampati, Lokapati, Dharapati,
patir gatis
Chakranta,
chandaka vrishni satyatam
Patirgati, Sandaka, Vasuni, Satvatam,
prasidatam me bhagavan satam pati.
Sitatam me Bhagavan Satam Pate.
Please read.
May Lord Shri Krishna, who is worshipable Lord of all the devotees, the protector and the glory of all the kings, like Andaka and Vrashni of the Yadu dynasty, the husband of all goddess of fortune, the director of all sacrifices, and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of all intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, the spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation of the earth, the supreme all in all, by merciful upon me. Be merciful upon me.
So he is worshipping the Supreme Lord as the protector and glory of kings like Andaka, Vrishni, all these are Yadu dynasty. And then, Lakshmi, and he's the director of sacrifices, the beneficiary of all sacrifices. Yeah, so he's worshipping the Supreme Lord as the supreme for all these aspects. Yeah, please read.
In the Vedic rituals, there are recommendations for performing different types of sacrifices in order to achieve the greatest benefit in life. Such a benediction as the result of performing great sacrifices are, after all, favors given by the goddess of fortune and the Lord. Being the husband of or lover of the goddess of fortune is factually the Lord of all sacrifices also. He is the final enjoyer of all kinds of yajna. Therefore, the Yajnapati is another name of Lord Vishnu. It is recommended in Bhagavad Gita that everything be done by the Yajnapati,
Yajna,
Yajnad Karmana, for otherwise one's acts will be cause of the conditioning by the law of material nature. Those who are not freed from the misconception, Yalkam, perform the sacrifice to please the minor demigods. But the devotees of the Lord know very well that the Lord Sri Krishna is the supreme enjoyer of all the performances of the sacrifice. Therefore, they perform the Sankirtan Yajna, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, which is especially recommended in this age of Kali. In Kali Yuga, the performance of other types of sacrifices is not feasible due to insufficient arrangements and inexpert priesthood.
Yep. So Lord here is described as Pati, or the husband of all these aspects, right? Yajnapati, Prajapati, right? So, yeah. And Lord is especially pleased with the performance of Sankirtan Yajna, the only Yajna which is practical and recommended in this age. Right? So Sankirtan Yajna, chanting of the holy name, especially in the streets, right? Like all the ISKCON temples practice this. I know in Pune they do it every day. Radheshyam Prabhu goes out and he goes to some street nearby and they just do Sankirtan Yajna very melodiously. They sing for just like 15-20 minutes in the
Every day.
yeah, every single day. He never misses a single day to perform Yajna. Yeah, only during his US trip he doesn't do it, but because it brings so much auspiciousness. And I remember like when I went there last time, I went to some streets in that Janwadi area, and they know once in a month or once in a few weeks, they go different streets every day. They're all waiting, and they're all when they when he went there, they went around their apartment, and all the a lot of family members within this who are living in the apartment, they came out and they threw
Okay.
flowers on the path.
Oh, nice.
Very auspicious to have this Sankirtana in the streets, especially in living areas where people are not a lot of people are sinful, so it brings auspiciousness everywhere around. I felt very nice program, that one, and they go every day different streets.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So yeah, so and they all look for it. They know when this happens, and they all look for it. And it's in India because the culture is there. They value, they have faith in the yajna, Sankirtan Yajna. They look for it, and they all benefit. They all become Krishna conscious, either today or tomorrow. But you can see that in practice today.
Yeah, and even Maharaj says the same thing, Prabhuji.
Hmm.
Harilas Maharaj says, right, Nagar Sankirtan will drive the demons away from the streets.
Yeah, we do Nagar Sankirtan in Seattle. Seattle is becoming auspicious.
Yes.
Has its
Every
effect.
week we do.
Harinam has its effect, whether we,
Yes,
we
Prabhuji.
can't, may not physically realize immediately, but already what Maharaj is doing has a lot of effect. So
True.
we talk to a lot of students who come to food truck every day. Whenever there is food truck there for 3 to 4 days a week, when we talk to them, they are all very favorable and they already developed certain faith. They see every time we have our food truck there, they see that these people are doing selflessly. Hmm?
Mm.
And when we talk to them and invite them for classes, they're interested because they already know by our food truck service that hey, these are people who are reliable and they do it out of selflessly. Because we don't ask anything from them. We don't ask them to
Very
pay $1. We don't expect them to visit our temple. We just selflessly give day after day. We don't even know their name, their family, nothing. Still we give out selflessly and people notice that hey, here there is still there is still some truth and or what do you call, like, here are people who we can rely on, right? That is the kind of experience they all get.
Because
Selfless.
the first feeling is that they think that there are still pious people around the world. That's the first feeling they get. And then when we talk and interact about about the spirituality and courses, that's when they know that hey, these are pious people with with a spiritual objective.
Yeah. So one thing is to give them prasadam. Second thing is to connect them to Krishna more closely by distributing books to them and connecting them to some spiritual classes. That way, because that sometimes people eat and they forget and they may again restart in their next life. So we don't want that to happen. We're already giving, they're coming to us. So that's why every time we are at the food truck, some of us go to food truck, Chandu Prabhu, Kaustu Prabhu, Nitin Prabhu. We should definitely connect with them and myself. We should definitely connect these people, close to our temple, right? So they can attend online if they can't come
Yes,
to.
Prabhu. Some of them want to come to temple, but their bus route takes like 3 hours,
Yeah.
something like that.
So we
So,
can
okay.
we can do some effort. I think we can discuss this outside of class, but maybe once in a month we can bring them all. They'll be really happy, coming to the temple, engage them in, some service, in temple cleaning or super happy they'll
Yes.
be. And in New York, they do that. In New York, Boston area, there are a lot of universities, including MIT. And whenever, the devotee is there, they actually arrange once in a month or once in 2 weeks. They arrange some vehicles for students to come to the university, the temple campus. They all come and they all engage in, they have very, very well-defined services, cleaning, whatever, right? They do it
Yes.
and they'll be returned back, right? They'll take prasadam and they return. And they're very happy because they're now engaged in service, right? And the temple is also happy. One time recently, what they did, they engaged them in Janmashtami festival services, right? And they made some gifts. They received guests and they cooked. And there are like these 20 or so students who all helped in various services. And temple was just blissful and happy. They got so many volunteers and the volunteers were also very happy because they're engaged in Krishna service. Uh,
Yes.
so I think Nitin Prabhu, I think we should discuss this separately.
Yes, definitely, Prabhu. Yes.
You are at the food truck, regularly leading that service. So
No, Prabhu. Sometimes I go,
we should
but
we should
yes.
bring them, and I'm sure Harilash Maharaj will be extremely happy to see these students
Yes.
come
Yes.
and do this service. We should talk
Yes.
to you know Mukunda Prabhu on this separately.
At least 5, 6 people told me they want to come to temple, but they don't have any like way to reach
There
there.
are some devotees there, Manan Prabhu and others. We can connect
Yeah,
them. If it is once a month, they should be able to, plan that and do it. Just some, thinking around is needed, but we can do it. Yeah, Suji
yeah,
Mata,
Prabhu.
something.
Yeah, Prabhu, is the Bellevue temple
Hmm.
closer to transit center, so they can take a bus and come to the Bellevue temple? I'm not sure about the commute.
Bellevue is our temple is like at least 45 minutes away, and they have to move 2 buses. Bellevue is like 20 minutes.
So is the Bellevue temple operational fully, Maharaj?
Yes, not fully. It's right now operating on weekends, Saturday, Sunday. There are specific hours, and I think we have to reserve, right?
And weekdays
Okay.
also, I think in the evening and morning, 1 or 2 hours. Weekdays also.
Be limited hours. Okay. Hmm.
So
Okay.
maybe when the train stuff comes up, I think the commute might be better option.
Hmm. Yeah,
Train doesn't
but
come
train is
evening.
coming next year, no? It's not coming 2025.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Yeah, please read this.
As Paramatma, Super Soul, the Lord is living in everyone's heart, and from Him only does one's power of remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness follow. The Mat Smritir Jan Jnanam
Sure.
Apohyam Ja. One person can sharply remember past activities by the grace of Lord, while other cannot. One is highly intelligent by the grace of Lord, and one is fool by the same control. Therefore, the Lord is Dihampati, or the Lord of intelligence.
Lord is the one who controls our intelligence, our power of decision making. And to purify our intelligence, we read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, right? Because intelligence, mind takes all the inputs, various experiences it receives through various senses. Eyes see and it passes that information to mind. Mind stores, it stores and it restores, it recollects at the time when intelligence asks for it. But ultimately, intelligence makes the decisions for us, right? And when it is guided by spiritual knowledge, intelligence, then it will act spiritually, right? You will make spiritual decisions, or when intelligence is guided by the scripture, right? Scripture or guru or mentor, spiritual mentor. So Lord is considered Lord of intelligence, Dhyampati, because he is the in charge of your intelligence if you have purified your intelligence. Yeah, please read.
All these qualifications, as the different types of pati mentioned in the verse, are meant for the Lord Sri Krishna, and Sukadeva Goswami has therefore especially mentioned the pati and the gati of the Yadu dynasty. The member of the Yadu dynasty knew that the Lord Sri Krishna is everything, and all of them intend to return to Lord Krishna after he had finished his transcendental pastime on the earth. The Yadu dynasty was annihilated by the will of the Lord because its members had to return home and with the Lord. The annihilation of the Yadu dynasty was material show created by the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, the Lord and the member of the Yadu dynasty are all eternal associates. The Lord is therefore the guide of all devotees, and as such, the Sukadeva Goswami offered him due respects with the love-laden feelings.
Lord, many people misunderstand the final, annihilation of Yadu dynasty, the dynasty of the Lord, right? Many people, misunderstand it as a material thing, that Yadus have committed this offense and they got curse and they all killed each other in a fist fight. But it is all actually arrangement of the Lord. Because they all came with the Lord, they're all eternal associates of the Lord. And they will all have to return when Lord returns, when the pastimes are done. And even the pastime of Lord passing away from this world by the arrow of the hunter, right? It is seen as made by materialist people. They'll catch this. Yes, you can see now. Lord was also killed like a ordinary living entity, right? He also passed away. Lord leaves certain things so that even the atheists have their own reason to not believe in Lord. So they will forget all the activities, he's lifting Govardhan, killing all these. They'll forget everything. They'll focus on this last thing. So so that they can live, they should have a reason to live also, right? Even atheists who have bent their mind that way. So, and the killing of these yadus, etc., right? So these are certain things. According to one's own mati and understanding, one can feel these are materialistic pastimes. So there are levels of understanding this. Only the pure devotee coming in a parampara like Prabhupada can reveal the actual purport behind these incidents. Right? Because we are in the parampara and we hear from Prabhupada's purports, we read them, we study them together, we have very good understanding on what the truth is. Otherwise, a lot of Vedic pastimes can be misunderstood from Ramayana as well as Mahabharata. But with right teachers, we can understand the actual purpose. Let's move fast. Yeah. Yeah. Yadangri abhidhyana samadha dhautaya.
Ye
Dhyanupashyanti hi tattvamatmana.
Dhyanupashyanti hi tattvamatmanah.
Vadanti chaitat kavayo yatarucham.
Vadanti chetat kavayo yatharucham.
Same mukundo bhagavan prasidatam.
He Mukundo Bhagavan Prasidatam.
Same mukundo bhagavan prasidatam. May the Supreme Lord be pleased with me. Yeah. Please read the translation.
Is the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna who gives liberation by thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following the footsteps of authorities. The devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. Maybe the Lord be pleased with me.
By thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following in the footsteps of the authorities, the devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. Devotee, so from Prabhupada Lilamrita, I remember when Prabhupada said, even when he was a child, he never forgot Krishna at any time, even when he was going out for the school. So I never forgot Krishna for a moment, because he was a pure devotee. We can see from that, we can understand from that. So he is always protected. A devotee who always his mind focused on Krishna, especially following the footsteps of authorities, devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. So whatever they speak, it will be absolute truth. Whatever they say, whatever they act, it is guided by the will of the Lord. Yeah. On the other hand, mental speculators, they're always confused. They're confused whether God really exists or not. Yeah.
The mystic yogis, after a strenuous effort to control the senses, may be situated in a trance of yoga just to have a vision of the super soul within everyone. But the pure devotee, simply by remembering the Lord's lotus feet at every second, at once becomes established in real trance. Because of such realization, his mind and intelligence are completely cleansed of the diseases of material enjoyment. The pure devotee thinks himself fallen into the ocean of birth and death, and the instantly prays to the Lord to lift him up. He only aspires to become a speck of transcendental dust at the lotus feet of the Lord.
This is a very important line here. The pure devotee thinks himself fallen into the ocean of birth and death incessantly prays to the Lord to lift him up. So you see, there are a few things in this. First thing is awareness of one's situation, right? We are in the same state as well, right? We are also, in this ocean of birth and death. Even though you are, physically you may be situated, you may have good health, good family, good, good practice of devotion service. Externally, all those are good, but still the consciousness should always remember these aspects, right? That I am still stuck in this fasigayama. So I am still stuck in this, ocean of birth and death. That is that should be an underlying principle. So when you feel like that, then you have the dependence on the Lord. If you don't feel like that, you go to, you go for Mangalarti and pray to the Lord as if everything is nice, then, you are not that serious. A pure devotee is unlike us. He actually thinks all the time. He is aware that, he is in this, material realm, and I need Lord's help to lift me up, right? And with that consciousness, he does everything. He worships very sincerely in his, worship in the morning, and he chants with that attention that I need to get out of this material world. Otherwise, if we sit down and chant, we may not be really serious, that we want to, and we may, if our consciousness is like that, then it will go towards our work, our children, our family, and our many things that we have to still pending, because we are mechanically sitting down to do. So this is a practical tip we can all follow. So from tomorrow we can always remember, oh Lord, I'm, still stuck in this ocean of birth and death, and only you can lift me up. I'm suffering in this existence, middle existence. I need, every day I have to struggle to live. Middle existence means struggle for existence, right? Every day. You have to, from morning, you have to cook, then only you can feed yourself. You have to breathe to live. You have to eat to live. Anything you stop, you'll die. And you have to please your, boss or whatever, right? Like, you have to do so many things every day to keep up yourself, to continue to live, continue to maintain your body, right? So that's all because you have a material body. If you don't have, you don't have any material desires, no material body, then you don't have to do all of that. But because you have material desires, Krishna has given a material body to fulfill your desire. And now you're stuck in this world. And if you start thinking, oh, everything is okay, then Krishna will say, okay, continue here. You're not ready for it. But if you think, oh Lord, I'm stuck in this material world, I need to get out and I need to experience your lotus feet directly, and I want to be engaged in your service directly, then Krishna will be serious. And we chant seriously. We show every day, I'm really serious. I want to get back to you. Just like, there is a saying, right? The crying child gets the attention of the mother. There are 4 children, 3 of them are playing on their own, and one child is always crying for the attention of mother. What will happen? The mother gives full attention to the child that is crying. So similarly, we should have that, intense aspiration to please the Lord, and really are serious and conscious that we are in this material world stuck. Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, they also, sorry, I had a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So they also say that in to pray that life after life, please engage me in devotional service. It doesn't matter whether I am in this world or wherever I am.
Yeah.
So now you mentioned also, right? Okay, I want to get out of this place.
This is the prayer for our level. So when you become pure devotee, na, you will pray like that. But right now for our
Okay.
when
So
our
I like
will stuck in when you start chanting, if you are thinking about your work or what you have to cook, then this is the prayer for us. We realize our situation, right? When you become a completely 100% Krishna conscious, then Krishna, you engage me anywhere in your service, I'm happy. I just want an opportunity to chant, and doesn't matter if I'm that is Prahlad prayer. Prahlad Maharaj, yeah, is like pure devotee, right? Swarga Narakeshu, anywhere I am, it doesn't matter. I just need the association of pure devotees who are completely engaged in your service. If I have that, because he experienced that in his life, right? He has that experience of Narada Muni. So he speaks that I only need that the association of pure devotees. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. It it doesn't matter if I'm, Swarga, Naraka, anything, doesn't matter. But that is at a different level. For us, it is okay. Realizing that otherwise we think I'm everything is fine. I have a good home, good children, listening, I'm chanting and I'm, doing services. I have nothing to worry. That's how we think. And that becomes more behavior in mode of goodness. And then we are happy with what we are doing, right? So being mindful of this is important as well. Otherwise, it will slacken, like Bharat Maharaj, right? So he got engaged in the service of the deer because he was not serious at that moment. Even though he was very advanced spiritually, momentarily he turned his attention because he was not focused at the time. So we should also be careful. Because Maya can just shift our consciousness. Maya, her goal is to make sure only the right candidates go to the spiritual world, or right candidates achieve the highest perfection. She's doing her job, right? So we have to do our job. Yeah. So this is a beautiful verse by King Kulashekara, and this is one of the very favorite verse of Srila Prabhupada. He quotes this often. Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaja Panjaratam Ajaiva me Vishatau Manasa Prana Prayana Samaye Virodhana Vidhau Smaranam Kutaste. Yeah, please read the translation.
My Lord Krishna, I pray that the swan of my mind may immediately sink down to the stems of the lotus feet of your Lordship and he locked in their network. Otherwise, at the time of my final breath, when my throat is choked up with cough, how will it be possible to think of you? There is an intimate relationship between the swan and the lotus stem, so the comparison is very appropriate. Without becoming a swan, Paramahamsa, one cannot enter into the network of the lotus feet of the Lord. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, the mental speculators, even by dint of learned scholarship, cannot even dream of the absolute truth by speculating over it for eternity. The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to such mental speculators, and because they cannot enter into the network stem of the lotus feet of the Lord, all mental speculators differ in the conclusions.
Yeah. You can see our parampara. You read all the books of, whether Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baldev Vidyabhushan, or all the writings of Goswamis and Prabhupada, everything is very aligned. And that is a parampara. You won't see any. you won't see any difference in conclusion or statements. Everything is aligned. Now you go read any other books outside of ISKCON, Vivekananda. Every book has its own conclusion. They'll say everything is all right because they have no conclusive understanding. That's how I felt. Because I went through a lot of organizations. This is not my ISKCON is the final destination, but I had at least 4 or 5 organizations where I tried to find spiritual truth, but I was not satisfied. But when I came in contact with the books of Prabhupada, it was everything was aligned from the beginning till the end. Every book I read is in complete harmony with each other. All the teachings is unique, and everything was backed up. Everything Prabhupada states is backed up by scripture or Acharya statements. So you have conviction, you have faith, because it's not something that he discovered today. It's something that is existing forever. So you have so much more faith. So excellent. So I was like totally stunned when I read Prabhupada books, and there's no looking back. I never again read any other books after that. It was very satisfying and thorough, right? We are all very fortunate. If you haven't gone through other paths, understand that you are very, very fortunate that you haven't had to go through all that process. Yeah, it's truly good luck. But also realizing that and acknowledging that is important. Otherwise, we may take it easy and cheap, right? We take it for granted. We shouldn't do that. Please read this.
The pure devotee never tried to see the Lord by mental speculation, but by following in the footsteps of Acharvas, Mahajano Venagatah Sa Pantaha. Therefore, there is no difference of conclusions among the how do you pronounce
Vaishnava Acharyas.
Vaishnava Acharyas regarding the Lord and the devotees. Lord Chaitanya asserts the living entity. It is eternally the servitor of the Lord, and that is simultaneously one with the different from the Lord. The tattva of the Lord Chaitanyas is shared by all 4 sampradayas of the Vaishnava school, all accepting eternal servitude to the Lord even after salvation. And there is no authorized Vaishnava Acharya who may think of the Lord himself as one.
Yeah. This humbleness
of the pure devotee who is 100% engaged in his service put the devotee of the Lord in trance by which to realize everything, because to the sincere devotee of the Lord reveals himself, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord being the Lord of intelligence even in the non-devotee, favors his devotee with proper intelligence, so that automatically the pure devotee is enlightened with the factual truth about the Lord and his different energies.
Because pure devotee is 100% engaged in the service of the Lord, Krishna only directs his life, right? Stesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te, right? To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, right? It's a key. I give the understanding by which they can come to me. I will take care personal. This is the assurance of the Lord. We don't need to separately endeavor for anything. I give the assurance. I give the understanding. So who can give any promise like that, right? In this world. So because devotee is humble, and he is 100% engaged in the service of the Lord. So we should also aspire to become like that, a pure devotee who is 100% engaged in Lord service. At some point, we have to aspire for that kind of life and finish this material life. We don't want to come back to this world again. Okay, so let's read this translation directly here, because we are already very late. I will end. This is the last verse. We'll end the class with this. Yeah.
May the Lord, who is in the beginning of the creation, amplified the potent knowledge of the Brahma from within the heart and inspired him with the full knowledge of creation and of his own self, and who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma, and be pleased with me.
Hmm.
Be pleased with
Yeah. So now this is the conclusive prayer by Sukadeva Goswami, and here he remembers one particular pastime where one time what happened was Lord Brahma, you as you know, would create every single day, because all the creation that he does will be destroyed towards the end of the day. So he recreates, but one time he forgets the process of creation. At that time, Lord helps him by sending Mother Saraswati in his mouth, and then Brahmaji remembers the process of creation. So, in a similar spirit, Sukadeva Goswami is praying to empower him so that his words will be empowered by the presence of Saraswati, so that he can speak just like Brahma. And he specifically remembered Brahma because Brahma was engaged in the process of creation, right? Sukadeva Goswami was now, based on the question of Parikshit Maharaj, is answering the process, explaining the process of creation. Right? It's the same, but now he's just explaining the process of creation. So he remembers Brahmaji so that he can also be empowered in a similar way to speak the truth by the empowerment of the Lord. Right? So that is the reason for remembering the pastime. So devotees of the Lord remember appropriate prayers. That's what we learn from this, right? To the situation. They're not just generically praying every time they go, right? Every time they pray. So they remember specifically the pastime of the Lord. So we can also practice this. Like we can use the prayers of Queen Kunti in certain times. Sometimes when we are fearful or in a very tough situation, we can remember the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. Like that, right? So we can be very specific. When we are in a deep trouble, can remember the prayers of Gajendra. Yeah, so like that. So we'll end the class here. We are already late today, little longer class. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Prabhu.
me.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mataji.